Hello. For one more time, I want to talk about the phone conversation I had with Jeff Wendel, CEO, I'm calling him, of Roaring Spring Park LLC. Uh, and in the last video, I said I would give you some numbers. I will. But I did want to mention there were a couple things that slipped my mind, and one of them has come back. When we were finally talking about tourism, in terms of Roaring Spring. And I think now it was an unfamiliar subject for Jeff, as all the finances and stuff is very unfamiliar territory for me. And we were talking about why would tourists come to Roaring Spring? Well, of course, I've been addressing this in many videos actually. It's astounding how many videos I've put in there, but just in my fictional dream called Earth's Drink Honeymoon, I am addressing it in a more permanent way. And I had said to him, have you ever gone up to the cemetery and looked at the view? And he said, you mean the cemetery, that old cemetery on my property, I think he said. And I didn't know anything about that. And I said, no, I mean the one up there for the town of Roaring Spring. Have you ever been up there and looked at that astounding view? I think he didn't say no, but I think it was no. Or have you been up to the football field? I don't think he's ever really explored the beauty of Roaring Spring. And so I think, but anyway, why, and at some point, I want to mention that I made a video which was a facsimile of a public comment that I made at the borough council meeting some 2 months ago, or maybe more. And I heard a sound that I thought was the camera. I made a facsimile because I wanted to make sure that people who wanted to know what I said there could get my version of it. And I'll give you the link for it. Facsimile is the key word there, in which I describe the beauty of that site, the whole site, the area around it, and even made the offer, which I'll stand by, to escort any potential buyer of the Roaring Spring paper mill property, be their tour guide, and take them around and show them the town of Roaring Spring, to help them decide what they should do. I'd gladly do that. So anyway, when I mentioned the view, he said, well, talk about a view. He said, you ought to see the view from the top of my property up there. It's astounding, or I don't know what word he said. It's an incredible view from up there. And I said, well, I imagine so. And I even said in my fictional tale of 2031, and I'm sorry, last video I said 1931, 2031 fiction, there's a chairlift to take tourists up there to see that very view. And it was funny in a way because he'd come up with an example of just how astoundingly beautiful that area is, even though it seemed like we were adversarial. I think I don't like to feel that way because I want Jeff to not only get his money back out of what he's done there, but to make a sizable profit, not a virtual killing from a sale to a data center site. That I will continue to object to. So anyway, numbers. When the number 800 million is an approximate value of the paper mill site and the paper mill, all that stuff, the company, Appion, I think, in 2001, when the workers, I saw that there were 2,000 at that time, 2001, and now later on they said 300 or maybe 400, 300 lost their jobs when it finally went bankrupt. But when the workers bought into it, so it became a worker-owned company, they put in about 100 million, the workers themselves. And somehow with financing and borrowing or whatever, there was another 500 million and another 200 million to cover the 800 million. And the workers' contribution was regarded, I think, as a down payment. Boy, take all of this stuff with a huge, maybe a block of salt, because I didn't write the stuff down. It's been a while since I looked into it. Well, in 2017 or 2018, that's when the company went bankrupt. But it's, well, receivership maybe, I don't know, it continued to operate. But at that point, it was sold for $365 million. And then, I can't tell you too much about the next two sales that went on, but the first, I'm probably getting a lot of this stuff wrong, because it was that it continued to operate until about 2021, I think. And then there was a buyer that bought it for the purpose of taking out all the machinery and reselling the machinery. That was a Connecticut company. And then there was a buyer who bought it to get all the scrap metal available out of it. And that $365 million, that was plus assumed liabilities, I think. In other words, the buyer had to assume the liabilities of the project. Boy, I'm speaking a language I barely understand, but maybe I'm guiding you to show you that you can get this information if you want, or you can search for it. The last time it was purchased, the parcel was purchased, that I could find, the purchase price was $10. Now that's, I think, just a way of saying we're not saying we don't have to say what the price was, and we're not saying. We're just going to put, like sometimes you'd see a property sold for $1 on a deed. I understood that sort of, so I don't know what that was. I don't know what Jeff Wendel, for example, what his company paid for the property. I don't know. I suspect it wasn't very much. I don't think it should have been. Now there's the matter of taxes. Who's paying the taxes, and who has been paying the taxes? And a tax is based on an assessment, an appraisal. What was the property appraised for along these various lines? I don't know, but I think that is also accessible to somebody who wants to know. Now, there is a recent high school graduate in Roaring Spring. I'm not going to use his name. I think I know his name. I think I know where he lives and everything. Who, I've been told, is writing a history. I'm sure of it, that he exists. Who's writing a history of the mill site, and at the Spring Dam Brewery, I was talking to him. I think the young man, and I also was talking to his either uncle or father or something. I'd love to see that. The best description I've seen of the history of that property was in an Altoona Mirror article, which I read carefully, but I haven't been able to see it again because I don't subscribe. I don't know. All right. A couple other numbers I'll give you. There's a town in Switzerland called Andermatt. And in my fictional work, one of the hotels is named after that town. Andermatt is a town that, going back to the last time I was there, which was about, I almost want to say 15 years ago maybe, it's population about half the size of Roaring Spring, beautiful, way up in the Alps, old Swiss buildings. Well, an Egyptian billionaire bought enough land there as part of that town. I don't want to say he bought the whole town because I don't think he did that, but he bought enough land to put in a 5-star hotel, a luxury hotel. It's called the Chedi, C-H-E-D-I, Chedi Hotel. You can look it up. And he invested $300 million into the initial building of the hotel, I think. But he went on then to invest another $1.9 billion in the surrounding area with added ski slopes and snowboarding slopes and all kinds of. Then there was another hotel built there. Now, to my amazement, I was speaking to two people in Roaring Spring about a month ago, who had been to that hotel, but not to stay in a room. I mean, a room's cost like $1,300 a night, I think. It's a 5-star hotel. You can go there if you look online, and you can kind of fly through it and see what it looks like. It's no place I'd want to stay. But they had been there for a brunch, they said. And I just mention it because it's the best case I know of an organization or a person with lots of money seeing something like that and making something out of it. 70% occupancy is what I found out online. Now, compared to that Bedford Springs Hotel, I think that the investment there, to restore that hotel after 20 years of being vacant, I think it was $120 million. I think it was. Yeah. Well, there's been a bunch of numbers, and I'm probably leaving some other ones out, but they're there. And if you try, use the websites, use the Blair County Courthouse websites, tax assessment, stuff like that, recorder of deeds, you can access some of this information. It's time for me to leave this issue. I want to go back to showing the dream that I offer for the year 2031, 6 years in the future, what Roaring Spring could be like. But I'm not doing it. I'm doing it as Earth's Drink Honeymoon. The town's called Earth's Drink, and it's a dream. It's not hard cash. It's not nuts and bolts. It's a dream, but I hope a believable one. I think I'm not gonna leave the subject of data centers, but if I come back to it, I'll come back to it in a different way, because I've learned a bunch about them. Bye for now.